There are more vacant homes in Maine than in any other state in the country. According to federal data, more than 1/5 of the homes across the state are vacant, meaning that the house is uninhabited or is inhabited by those with another primary residence. So in this video, we're going to explore this phenomenon and understand just why so many homes in Maine are vacant, and also talk about the real implications that this has on local residents, businesses, and communities. But before we do, just let me introduce myself. Real quick, my name's Cam Avery. I'm a local real estate agent with the Avery Realty Group and Keller Coastal Realty. And this channel is all about learning about the great states of Maine and New Hampshire. And so if that's something that you're interested in, definitely subscribe. And thank you so much for doing that. So let's jump right into the video and talk about the first reason that Maine has so many vacant homes. And it's probably the most obvious reason, and that is the second home market in Maine. Out of all the vacant homes in Maine, an astounding 72% of them are used for seasonal, recreational, or occasional use, a rate that is only bested by Vermont at 75%. They don't call Maine vacation land for no reason, and so many homes in the oceanfront, lakeside, and tourist destinations are used solely for the purpose of vacationing. In fact, my first introduction to Maine was that I came up to my aunt's lake house growing up and absolutely fell in love with the state. Populations boom during the summer months as vacationers come to enjoy the properties in Maine, but die off in the off-season months while the homes are left vacant for a major part of the year. While I am a major proponent of the rights of property owners and our right to do with our homes whatever we so choose, there are definitely some real implications that this has on Maine's small towns and communities. One of the biggest issues that this impacts is the affordability of housing in small town Maine. As prices of vacation homes continue to appreciate, oftentimes this ends up pricing out local residents, making it impossible to afford a home in a town that they've lived in for their whole lives. In Rangeley, Maine, for example, more than 2/3 of the homes are vacant for a portion of the year, and while owners may rent their homes out in the off-season months to residents, many of them choose not to, and this ends up putting a real strain on the workforce that actually lives in the towns that many others choose to vacation in. Only 6% of vacant home units are available to be rented, which means that out of the 20% of homes in the entire state that are vacant, 94% of those homes are not rented out to anyone other than the owner of the property. Hey, I know it's small, but if you could just do me a huge favor and just hit the like button. And as a thank you for doing that, here is a picture of a vacant house. While I definitely see both sides of the story, I actually do believe that this does put economic hardship on the majority tax-paying base of the community, and could be a reason why I get so many comments about people complaining about those being from away. That being said, if tourism left the state of Maine, the economic situation would look so much worse than what it is now that I don't know how anyone would be able to live in small and rural tourist destinations. They simply would not be able to afford it. So in terms of finding a solution to this problem, my only thoughts would be that each town would have to discuss their own unique situation and first determine if this is having a negative impact on the majority of local residents. If it is, how could zoning laws be improved and implemented to ensure that homes are lived in year-round? Or another interesting thought, could you require second homeowners to rent their homes out in the off-season to locals at a discounted rate? I doubt that would ever fly, but I do believe that there are solutions and a middle ground that protects the tourism industry without totally leaving the locals homeless. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but please, let's just try to keep it civil if possible. Another reason for the amount of vacant homes in the state of Maine centers around economically depressed rural areas that have seen homes abandoned. If a town in Maine was centered around a certain factory or a mill building and that factory shuts down, the economy of the small town essentially collapses and many residents are forced out of their homes to seek employment elsewhere. While this is definitely a smaller portion of the vacant homes and also more prevalent in smaller rural towns, it is definitely a contributing factor to the amount of empty homes in Maine. One of my favorite solutions to this problem is the conversion of empty and vacant homes into condos, apartments, and commercial space. We see this happening in mill buildings all throughout the state, specifically in Biddeford, Maine, and it's just so great to see something that was just sitting vacant being used again, brought back to life to benefit the community, and it's an incredible solution to this major problem. As housing becomes less and less affordable, it will be interesting to see what kind of changes will be made regarding the glaring problem facing the state of Maine. Will we see more and more regulations around owning second homes in the state of Maine, or will zoning begin to change to reflect the need for affordable housing? Whatever the case, make sure to watch this video here where I talk about why I would not move to Maine.